Good day everyone, I am Eunice Sedo from BSID 4-I2 and I will be discussing you about the using traditional and authentic types of assessment for formative and summative purpose. So, the essence of outcome-based teaching learning or the OBTL is the alignment of learning content, teaching and learning activities, and assessment tasks with intended learning outcomes. It also assessing students' learning to determine if the learning outcome set at the beginning of your lesson. So, which is which an emphasize is placed on a clearly articulated idea of what students or the learners are expected to know and be able to do, and also what skills and knowledge they need to have when they leave the school system. So there are four essence of outcome-based learning teaching. So the first one is the learning outcomes, which is the objectives of your lesson. The second one is the content or the subject matter, which means your lessons to discuss, and also the third one, which is the teaching learning activities, which all of you will answering the questions of the lessons, and also the students or the pupils answer too. And also we all know that the fourth one is the assessment task, which is we need to assessment the learners on how they adopt the lessons for today. So there are many ways of classifying assessment, but one basis of classifying is the nature of the assessment task required of the learners. Whether the assessment task is done through paper and pencil test, means the traditional assessment, or through non-paper and pencil test authentic assessment. So this is the two types of assessment task. So paper and pencil test or the traditional assessment make use of two types of tests according to mode of answering. So there are two types, which are the supply response type and the selected response type. Supply response type is a supply type that asks the learners to furnish a response in the form of word, sentence, or the paragraph. It means that they allow to the learners allowed to organize knowledge and also show an ability to express ideas and measure the learner's generalized understanding of a subject. So the next one, which is the selected response type. It is in which students read a questions and are presented with a set of responses from which they choose the best answer. So the example of selected response types are the alternate response, matching type, and multiple choice. So alternative response is what I've understood is question and answer of a teacher and students regarding of delivered the lesson. So the matching type is what we provide a way for our learners to connect a word, sentence, or phrase in one column to a corresponding word, sentence, or phrase in the second column. And the last one, which is the multiple choice, is one of in which you are given a list of answers and you have to choose the correct one. So the examples of supply types are the completion, essay, short answer type, and the problem solving. So completion is the act of finishing something that you are doing or making. And essay is a short piece of writing on a particular subject or your own understanding of a lesson. The next one is the short answer type. It's a constructed response item type in which the examined types of a short response, like the fill in the blank or essay at items. So the last is the problem solving, the process of finding solution to difficult or complex issues you need to solve. So what is authentic assessment or the non-paper and pencil test? This means that it is done by requiring our learners to come up with a product or demonstrates a process as proof of authentic learning. So there are two types, which are the product assessment and the process assessment. So the process assessment means to evaluate how a skill is performed, whereas the product means to evaluate the outcome of the skill performance of a child. So there are examples of product assessments, which are the poems, essays, songs, composition, artwork, and also the project in science or TLE or math. Next is the examples of process assessment, which are the dance performance in PE, focusing the microscope or the microteaching. So, portfolio falls under authentic assessment. A portfolio is a purposeful collection of selected significant samples of students' work accompanied by clear criteria for performance which proves students' efforts, progress, or achievements in a given area of or course. So there are types of portfolio, which are the development or growth, and assessment or evaluation, and also the best work or the showcase or displays. So there are two types of rubrics to use for assessed product or process. So you need a rubric for a reliable scoring of products or processes, or a portfolio for these products and processes. If you intended to give a single score on the students, you use a holistic rubrics. If, on the other hand, you wish to give specific scores on the different criteria for every dimension of the product or process or portfolio, you use analytic rubrics. So, what does it mean? So, holistic, it provides a single score based on an overall impression of a student's performance on a task. So, it is used score students' work as a whole, yielding one holistic score. While the analytic, it provides specific feedbacks along several dimensions and descriptors of product, and also break the objectives into components parts. And each portion is scored independently using a rating scales, and final scores is made up of adding each component's parts. So, when to use holistic rubrics? So there is no correct answers or response to ask a task. Example is creative work. So the next is the focus in overall quality, proficiency, or understanding of a specific content or skills. So the assessment is summative. Example at the end of the semester or the major, and also assessing significant numbers, which example 150 students portfolio needs. So there is the example of holistic rubrics. So when to use analytic rubrics? So several faculty are collectively assessing students' work, and also outside audiences will be examining rubric scores, and also the profiles of specific strength or the weaknesses are desired. So what is the advantages of the holistic and analytic? So in holistic, it is quick scoring, provides overview of students' achievements, while the analytic is to more detailed feedback, score more consistent across students and grades. The disadvantages of the holistic and analytic, holistic does not provide detailed information, may be difficult to provide one overall scores, while analytic is time consuming to scores. So I hope you understand my report today, guys, and thank you and God bless.